So this is a very exciting point that you're at. You just have a new book coming out. What is this new book about, and what inspired you to write it?
So the book is called Rationality is ... the essence of literary theory. And I wrote it because I think that literary theory is a topic that is very confusing for a lot of people. And to be frank, I think that theory is something that eats some people alive. And I think that I can give them an introduction to theory that makes theory more accessible to them and gives them a foothold and can serve them for longer than they perhaps realize when they're studying the material for the first time. I also wrote this book because I find that numerous existing introductions to theory and anthologies of theory writings are untrue to their own first principles. One of those first principles is that we are limited, that we don't have the view from nowhere, that we are located within a given tradition, with a given background, and that we aren't altogether neutral and free-floating like we're sometimes encouraged to think in the modern world, particularly through economic thinking, bureaucratic thinking, and scientific thinking. And the way that some theory books are presented, they present a various number of theories like feminism or deconstruction or historicism, and they give the impression that the student can simply choose between them and apply whatever theory they want to whatever text they want. But that simply reifies or reinforces the notion of a freestanding self making decisions that aren't affected by anything, and that's problematic in the long run.
You mentioned that literary theory can be very confusing or even destructive potentially to some people, perhaps that you have known. Who did you have in mind as you were writing, perhaps as readers for this book?
So I have two audiences in mind. One of them is undergraduate students, not only in English, but in any art subject and in the social sciences as well. Literary theory comes from the same well from which cultural theory and social theory draw their waters. And so there is a general conversation here that I think is influencing undergraduates, and something that they have to encounter in a lot of their subjects. But I've also written this for general inquisitive readers. I guess I'm thinking that a lot of those readers will themselves have encountered theory and may not know what it was that happened to them, or maybe still trying to make sense of what an introductory theory course was really about. And I think that I can help them to clarify what it is, even in retrospect. And I think I can help them establish a context for theory, both a historical context and also a context of what's happening in the culture today. Because I firmly believe that the ideas of literary theory have very much become part of contemporary cultural discourse, and that we need to better understand what's going on.
Yeah, literary theory is definitely a topic that it's vast, it can be seem foundational, and I'm sure that this is a book that covers a lot of ground. But what's something that you're really hoping that a reader will take away after they're finished reading the book?
I'm hoping that the reader will be encouraged. Rationality is something that is very much brought under attack, very criticized in literary theory. It's questioned, it's revalued, and in some ways, people are encouraged to be somewhat cynical about rationality, to think, for instance, that everyone always acts out of self-interest, or to think that everyone is utterly bounded by ideology, and or to think that rationality is really a mask for something else. And I want people to have more hope in rationality than that. Now, having said that, I want people also to respect theory, because I think there are ideas about rationality that are very partial, very incomplete, that come largely from the hard sciences and from economic thought, and that they don't represent a proper or full picture of what rationality is or what it can be. And so I want people to be attentive to the questions that theory is asking. And the questions that theory is asking are questions, in fact, that literature itself and art have always asked. They've always put pressure on what our assumptions are about the nature of rationality. And I don't want people to think that art and literature represent a flight from rationality. I want people to think that that art and literature are themselves part of an enlarged understanding of what rationality is. So to summarize the title, some people think that the essence of literary theory is the unmasking of rationality as something else. But I would like readers to come away from the book appreciating that rationality is the essence of literary theory, just as rationality is the essence of literature and of art, but that rationality itself is bound up with mystery and bound up with hope.
Yeah, that's fascinating and encouraging, and I'm really looking forward to reading the book when it comes out.
Thank you.